Hello, welcome to World Talks. I'm your host, Marie Cato. As soon as Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022, the world got to work and started imposing sanctions as an immediate deterrence measure. And as the weeks and months have passed, sanctions have continued and have been adapted in various configurations. It is one thing to impose sanctions publicly. They make for good media appearances and sound bites, but implementing them effectively is a different matter altogether. Hello and welcome to World Talks. I'm your host, Marie Cato. World Talks is one of our shows on TVP World where we have the opportunity to dive into some of the week's pressing topics and with the help of experts who share their perspective and knowledge. Today we welcome Yuri Tabach, former Chief of Staff of the NATO Military Liaison Mission in Moscow, to discuss the complexities surrounding the current situation of international sanctions imposed on Russia. Thank you, Yuri, for joining us today.
Thank you, Mary.
To begin with, can you give us your insight regarding the timeline of sanctions that have been imposed today on Russia and the subsequent impact on its economy and military?
Well, I think, in short, the sanctions, and again, I'm not an economist, I'm a military man, but the sanctions on Russia and then the Soviet Union have been imposed for, sometimes more, sometimes less, but the sanctions have been imposed on Russia since 2008, since the invasion of Georgia and aggression against Georgia. Then they were increasing, then it depended on our administration, changes in our administration and relationship with our administration. But in a sense, in my experience, and this is my unprofessional view from my personal experience, that sanctions do not work on Iran, on North Korea, but certainly they do not function in Russia. The only thing, it makes people suffer, but it has no effect on the Russians. It's a price of oil. We drop the price of oil, they pull back. We increase the price of oil, they start acting aggressively again. So it's almost, you can see the Russian and Putin's administration behavior on the price of oil. And it was the same thing with the Soviet Union.
So building up on what you have just said, the West has to face the brutal reality that Russia is actually very successful at circumventing the sanctions imposed by the West. And we are close to certain that Iran and Russia have a very cozy relationship worth $1.7 million, with plenty of weapons flowing into Russia and that are being subsequently utilized for the war against Ukraine. And Russia is also taking advantage of its ties with India and Myanmar and repurchasing its own specialist military equipment sold to these countries back, for example, in 2013. So is Russia taking advantage of convenient technicalities, and where has the West gone wrong with the sanctions? Russia
and the Soviet Union are masters at avoiding and at conniving and going around things, breaking laws, stealing things. That's how they survive. Those people who lived in a communist countries or a socialist country, they know exactly what I'm talking about. They know ways of going around. They're opening up, and in today's world, where the banking system, where wiring of money, going through third countries, going through African countries, there's plenty of ways of going about it and avoiding sanctions. It makes it difficult for them, but it's not a showstopper. The thing is, the herd of sheep will not protect itself from the wolves by saying, they're getting in a fight, or maybe the wolves are fighting among each other. No, the only thing that can stop the wolves from killing the herd of sheep, and I'm not talking about Ukrainians being sheep, I'm talking about the West, us, is by having somebody who's like a wolf, but more aggressive. And this is wolfhounds, the dogs that kill the wolves. And aggression from Russia will not be stopped by sanctions, by talks, by all the other things that we love as human beings to find the resolution through the diplomacy, through the sanctions, through carrots. No, a country like Russia, a leader like Putin and his surrounding will only be stopped by more violence, by violence that is, and by aggression that is higher than his. That's what happened during World War II. We had to show more aggression against Japanese and against Germans. That's the only way they stopped. So I think that until the West wakes up and realizes it, that we cannot be blackmailed. There are no red lines with these people. There are no agreements with they violate everything. And we see what they have done with a dam in Dnieper and how they flooded the people, human beings. They just drowned them and created a disaster of a colossal measurement. So it's like I could only compare it to a nuclear attack.
So what is your take on the opinion that if the West's sanctions against Russia are not working, then there is this opinion that if they're not working, then there is only one reason for it, that the West is undermining its own efforts?
Absolutely. It's excuses, red lines. I mean, it's a weak leadership in the West. And that weak leadership, of course, the United States, where usually everybody lines up with us. So as long as we're continuing to pacify Hitler and saying if he's going to take a little bit of Poland, a little bit of Czech Republic, he'll kill a little bit of Jews, he'll satisfy. No, these people don't stop. We have to stop them with more violence. We have to. I know it sounds horrible. But I do not see any other way. And as long as we're telling Ukrainians, okay, well, you can fire, you can defend yourself with a little bit of weapons we give you, but you can't fire upon Russians on the Russian territory and so forth. And we're putting limitations on them with the limited amount of weapons that they do have. It's not going to resolve. It's only feats. If the West right now, the question is how the West is going to respond right now to the Russian terrorist attack, to the terrorist attack on the dam, and it is in violation of Geneva Convention to blow up dams. If we're going to have sanctions, we're going to say, okay, let's talk. We're only encouraging them to continue to do the same thing. So we should expect, if there's going to be no hard and quick answer, and so far there isn't, to show Putin that we're not kidding, we should expect a bigger disaster. We should expect a bigger disaster coming. This is how terrorists operate. They're encouraged by our weakness. They're encouraged by what we think is rationale and civility. They consider it a weakness. So if we don't respond right now to the Russian terrorist attacks on Ukraine, we should expect bigger. And I just want to point out that it's not the war between Russia and Ukraine. It's a war between civilization and medieval times. It is the war between truth and evil, and so forth. It is a fight of the whole world right now. Unfortunately, it's only the Ukrainians who are bleeding and fighting for it, and they're a much smaller force. Yeah, well, even my dog agrees to it. It's a smaller force. It's unfortunately a smaller force, and we're just standing by and watching. We're not providing enough help. We're not providing enough weapons for Ukraine to fight, to go into the offensive mode.
And speaking of weapons, what is your assessment of Russia's military capabilities at the moment?
Well, again, you see, the thing is, we look at it as they have a military capabilities, or we're looking at them as though they have a military force. I even refuse at this point to call them military. It's an insult to a military. They're terrorists. And sometimes, and quite often, terrorists cause a lot of damage. Israelis have way bigger force than any of the terrorists, and there are more. But the terrorists, look what's going on. You just reported on it on your news. The terrorists conduct with much smaller force, and they cause terror to the people. They bring death to the people. So their military force, yes, we can see that it's not sophisticated. We can see that they're not able to fight. They're not organized. They fight among each other, just like terrorists. They fight among each other, but yet they're killing a lot of Ukrainian women, children. Half of the country is in a refugee status, and they're destroying. This is genocide. Clearly, it's a genocide going on by a terrorist state. And we continue to treat them as though it's some sort of a civilized part of the society. It is not. They're not part of. It's a cult of death. We have to deal with them the way we dealt in World War II with Germany, the way we dealt with Japan, because they're going to kill us. They're going to. I mean, people are worried about environment and ecology, but look at the ecological disaster they caused in the Black Sea, in the Azov Sea, and right now in the Dnieper River, with their actions, and they're wiping the cities. Literally, I've been there. I've seen it. They're wiping cities off the face of the earth in 21st century. I think this is unacceptable if we want to consider ourselves to be a Western civilized world. We have to take action. There's actually no reason to, after this, I don't think there is a reason. There's a question whether we should have NATO or we should have United Nations. These organizations have not acted at all. I don't understand the purpose of them, honestly, and I've served both in NATO and at the United Nations.
Well, I think you are speaking from a position of experience, but as we speak now, we're still in a position where there is so much dependence on these sanctions. And analysis from 12 EU countries says, and Norway, the UK, the US, and Japan, shows that the value of circumvented export sanctions is at $8.5 million. And what is even more concerning is this, that Germany appears to be the largest exporter of sanctioned goods to Russia, followed by Lithuania. So that means that Russia has access to plenty of goods that it should not have access to, because somewhere along the way, the sanctions are not being implemented correctly. So are European businesses failing Western alliances? And if so, why?
Because of greed, because of money, because of greed, because our politicians are old. Our politicians are in politics not as it was after World War II, where most of the congressmen, senators, parliamentarians were war veterans that seen their brothers and sisters die, that seen the disasters that war caused. And they were in the service of their country. They were there for a short time. Now you look at our politicians, they're there for life, like in the Politburo. They only leave Parliament or Congress when they die. And they're there thinking, we can't get along without them. So they're the only ones. They're there for a wrong reason. And they're there for a greed. And they're willing to close their eyes and turn away from the suffering and death of millions of people. And this is absolutely unacceptable, I think. And today, right now, this is the moment of truth. If we're not going to respond to this terror attack on all of us, causing an environmental disaster, causing a human disaster, then we should expect a bigger disaster from them. And I hope eventually when we wake up, it's not going to be too late for us as a human race.
And given the economic situation in Europe, we're dealing with incredible levels of inflation, food prices, simple living costs to the average man and woman, child. We are dealing with unprecedented times. And it almost feels as though, dare we say that the sanctions are affecting European countries, perhaps even more so than Russia itself? What would you say?
Maria, I wish I could say something about it, but again, I'm not an economist. I can only say that those people who do all these studies, all these brilliant people who are in these think tanks are sitting there and thinking about those things. I'm going to be in Ukraine in a few days. I welcome them all. Come there. I'll show them what's going on. And maybe after that, they will be able to look at it differently, or they will be able to do their studies and do their economic assessments, somehow do their statistics somehow differently. We're suffering. Again, I can only speak, about my world. My world is in Miami, Florida. And I can tell you that 2 years ago, we were all able to purchase apartments. We're all able to buy a new car. We're all able to do a lot of things that we're not worried about today. Right now, I go into the store. What's the biggest black market now in the United States from Mexico? It's not drugs. It's eggs. Because eggs now in the United States, a dozen of eggs, 12 eggs cost $10, $12, $1 an egg. 2 years ago, it was $3. So, but yet my salary and my pension has not been up. So again, I know I'm talking about the very, single-celled
well, this is real life. This is real life.
You're right. But I'm not an economist. I don't sit in Washington somewhere in a think tank figuring out, juggling those numbers. But I know that the people, myself and people around me, are saying, you know what, I can't, I got to look at the prices right now. Where 2 years ago, I wasn't looking at the price. And of course, this war that Russia brought on all of us, mostly on the Ukrainians, is not going to help. It's not going to help, and it's not helping, and we have to deal with it. But the thing is, there is a human side to it.
Indeed. We're going to have to I'm going to have to stop you right there. I'd love to carry on, but we have to take a break right there. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
And that is all for this edition of World Talks. Thank you very much for joining us, and stay tuned for more.